The Sportscast, November 29th, 2021 AD, post-Thanksgiving. If you haven't yet, please subscribe in all our channels, YouTube, Twitch.tv, Twitter, and Apple Podcasts. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please leave a rating and a review. It will help us out tremendously. We're also on online radio. You can listen to us on the sportscast.net or our app. You could get our app, the Sportscast for iOS, on the iOS iPhone App Store. And check us out on Twitter, the Sportscast1, the Sportscast1. What an action-packed weekend, of course. We got a lot of college football news, a lot of two big hires. Bill Napier going to the Florida Gators and Lincoln Riley going to the USC. That might have made bigger splash. And, of course, NFL Week 12 recap. And a man that had Thanksgiving this year, Ryan Krista. Welcome back to the Sportscast.
Santiago, it is good to be here. Like you said, tons and tons of sports, especially in the realm of football and college football, to talk about and review.
Yeah, let's go right at it. Billy Napier from Louisiana Raging Cajuns has been hired by the Florida Gators, who replaces Coach Mullen. This is big news, but very, very clever hire. Ryan Krista, what are your thoughts as a Florida Gators fan?
Absolutely, Santiago. You said we hired Billy Napier, coach of Louisiana Raging Cajuns. To me, this is, without calling it a home run, it's definitely a guaranteed double. Santiago, this guy, he's got a track history of working with, Dabo Swinney, Nick Saban, so he's seen success. He knows what it takes, and improved it at Louisiana. Great record over 4 years as a head coach. This year, 11-1 in the regular season, lone loss and opening weekend loss to Texas. So after that, they ran off 11 straight, playing in the Sun Belt Championship this week. What made him the home run hire, he understands what Dan Mullen didn't, and that's the lifeblood of college football is recruiting. Mullen is an amazing offensive mind. He can coach up players, and it's very evident. You look at a player like Dak Prescott, Kyle Trask, they get better. But to compete what Florida wants to compete with, and that's championships, you got to win, not just necessarily on the field, but on the recruiting trail. And I think, it's gonna come fast and furious.
Last time the Gators won an SEC championship was in 2008. I believe Tim Tebow was in that team. But they had four coaches in 2014 since Will Munchamp was coaching there. Ryan, will this be it? Is this guy will bring chips to this school?
I mean, time will tell on that. But I think he's a very down-to-earth, understand, I think this is going to be a lot of a Kirby's, smart hire, in the sense of what did he change to Georgia? He understood recruiting was most important. And he wins on that, puts good coaches around and wins. Same thing as the Nick Saban, Dabo Swinney. Each got the recipes for success, and he's seen that, and he knows what it takes, and I think you look at recruiting numbers and you look at how many teams, and this is not just at Florida, this is at Miami and at Florida State. How many other teams, aka Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, they come in the state of Florida and they just take the best players, and that's why they're winners. So it's understanding you got to keep the local talent, and then hit your home runs outside the state too. But that, what schemes, who they bring as assistant coaches, that's the next step. But I think you're going to see out of the Florida team, that's fundamentally sound, doesn't kill themselves. I've watched, through the years, a lot of Louisiana football games because they're an intriguing team. They just, they don't wow you. They just, they just keep on hitting you and hitting you. And no game is more evident than the game against, watching them play against our alumni, or our school last week, Liberty University. That was the first team I've ever seen really just dominate Liberty from, kickoff to final whistle. They were just a better team. They were better prepared. That kind of sold me on this as a guy for the Gators, and I think Scott Strickland maybe for the Florida, in his coaching search, visited Billy Napier and basically told everybody else in the coaching search, stop, we found our guy. I think we heard what he needed to hear. So is this going to bring championships? Back to your question. I don't know. But I think what you're looking for is a better recruiter, and then just more cohesiveness. Enough, Dan Mullen, like I said, is an amazing offensive mind. Was really hands off on defense. Really didn't recruit defense. He recruited defensive players, but not the SEC type of, these big, strong players. And it showed where, we were getting pushed around, the last, couple of years. But, he just, also Dan Mullen's personality, kind of quirky, he was not a big fan in the media. Just did some bizarre things. So I think, you're not going to get that from Billy Napier. So right now I'm going to say this is at least a double Santiago. Let's hopefully it turns into a home run.
Very, very positive. Of course, as Ryan mentioned, recruiting is the bloodline for college football to be successful. You got to have the tentacles, and Alabama and Georgia have definitely shown it. They had the tentacles, and of course, you can include Ohio State with that, getting deep into the back end, to the backyards of America, finding the best players in the country, and of course, that's something that Miami is also struggling with as well. They cannot get their local players; they're all going to bigger schools like Bama, Georgia, and Ohio State. So that's something that Manny Diaz is trying to figure out. He hasn't yet. But something that in college football, Eagles recruiting, that's something that is the formula, part of the equation of the algorithm to have a successful season. Let's go into the West Coast. Lincoln Riley, big coach from Oklahoma, brought championships there. Big 12 championships, a lot. Going to the USC. He's going to USC to be head coach. Big hire. Of course, USC got rid of Helton this past season. Ryan Krista, your thoughts? Is this a big grab by USC?
Absolutely. Home run hit. He just kind of looks to USC. He's kind of that cool guy, young, got a, offensive mind. So I think this is exactly what USC was looking for. In the world of, what's about this is it caught everybody off guard. Where was Lincoln Riley linked to? LSU. It kind of made sense. No one was talking this. We didn't know where USC was headed. After, Luke Fickell said no, James Franklin said no, but I'm excited for them because I think this is the guy that needs. What can Lincoln Riley do? He can recruit. He already recruits good players from California out to Oklahoma. Imagine what he can do when his home base is California. I don't know how quickly he'll turn them into championship, but I would not be surprised if Caleb Williams, star quarterback from Oklahoma, follows him over to USC, and if this team is poised to make a championship run starting next year.
Yes, as there was news this morning, five-star quarterback Malachi Nelson decommitted from Oklahoma, and there's also other players falling through through the wire. This is a huge win, of course, for USC, also for the Pac-12. Ryan, how big is this for the Pac-12? Is this going to have them a little bit more noticeable in the country?
Absolutely. It puts right now you only got one team that's really. I talk about this a lot because it is important. Recruiting at a high level at Oregon, and that's why, they're up there at the top. Utah does well. Utah is a team where it's not going to be championship or bust every year. It's a couple year process, but they coach their team up really well and they're going to be in it. But at the end of the day, UCLA is a good team, but Chip Kelly doesn't recruit the elite level. Good coach. But USC, you're looking for that total package. You're looking for a good recruiter, good coach, and this is what you get. I like Riley. He was given a Ferrari basically at Oklahoma ready-made, and he didn't disappoint. With USC, like I said, I think this could be a championship, at least a Pac-12 championship team next year. I don't know because they don't have the depth that they probably want talent-wise, but I think he's going to flip that over really quickly because I think in a matter of days he's going to turn that into a top 10 recruiting class at USC. Now the flip side of Santiago is now you've got another major program with an opening, and that's Oklahoma. Where do they go from there? I don't think anybody's got any guesses on that. Could that be Josh Heupel, former Heisman Trophy winner? But he just got the tendency. He's got some momentum there. I don't think he's ready to go there. So, does Lane Kiffin go there? Where, he's going to eventually head back to the SEC because Oklahoma is headed there. So, we'll see. It's going to be very interesting. But an interesting move, though, in the short term is that they've brought back Bob Stoops to coach the bowl game for the Sooners.
Yes, that's right. He will be interim coach for this weekend, so we'll see what happens there. Yeah, and also keep in mind one of the reasons, speculation, of course, that he left USC is because Oklahoma was going to join the SEC. And then what I heard, he said, well, I don't have a chance to beat the Alabamas and the Georgias. Do you think?
Absolutely, yeah. I think he understands that Oklahoma, to win in the Big 12, it takes a certain type of player and team makeup. The SEC, to win in the SEC, takes a totally different way of, your recruiting players. In the sense that you're on bigger, bulkier players. In the Big 12, it's more of a finesse league, speed. So I think there is this, transitioning to SEC is going to take time. I don't think he was ready for that. He wanted to go. We didn't have to worry about that, where it doesn't take as much to win. There's definitely pressure to win at USC, but I don't think it's as hard to win at USC would be at Oklahoma, especially going into the SEC.
Ryan, is this the biggest hire since Pete Carroll for USC?
Oh, absolutely, Santiago. But yeah, remember, Pete Carroll wasn't a big hire. Pete Carroll was like 4th or 5th on the list. Pete Carroll turned it into a great hire because he understood what it took to win at USC. And I really think if Steve Sarkisian didn't have off-the-field issues, fortunately he's gotten under control, he would have turned it into, that momentum. But, he was his own worst enemy there. But I think you got what it takes. It'd be interesting, who keeps back on the staff. And all reports is he's bringing over Alex Grinch as defensive coordinator. So we'll see what the next step is for USC.
Big news, of course, college football. Lincoln Riley going to USC. Pretty excited for this program. Definitely will be a juggernaut for the Pac-12. It's been Oregon that's been dominated these past couple of years. Now they will have someone else to worry about, and that's USC, a team that at one point was the biggest football team in Los Angeles. The only football team in Los Angeles. Now we got 3, of course. I know they're pro in college, but things are going to be pretty exciting. Maybe we'll see Will Ferrell rocking out his USC uniform more often. Anyways, are you ready? Now we're going to transition, actually, to NFL recap Week 12. Anything else in college football before we head into the pros?
I'm really excited to see what, you're normally, when Tuesday night comes, with the playoff rankings, you kind of know what's going to happen. And, up to right now, it really doesn't matter. This is a very important rankings coming out. Where do they put Michigan? Where do they, when we talk next week, what does Alabama have to do to get to the playoffs? Do they need to beat Georgia? Do they need to be close to Georgia? The Cincinnati is shooing if they win. Is Michigan a win in there? And, Oklahoma State, they only got one loss. Well, there's a lot of questions to be answered. I'm very excited to see, championship weekend. There's a lot of, important games coming up that will decide, the fate of, the playoffs.
Yeah, as Ryan was saying, Michigan had a huge, massive win against Ohio State this past Saturday. I watched the whole game. Really, really good game. Same for the Iron Bowl as well. But yeah, it is the Big House, tough place to win. But anyways, let's go into NFL Week 12, and we'll talk a little bit college football after the recap. How about that?
Let's do that, Santiago. Let's get it going.
Let's do it. All right, switch to the pros here. Let's start with the Falcons beating the Jaguars 21-14. The Falcons, of course, Cordell Patterson ran for 108 yards. A little bit of a low-key game, but the Falcons got a good morality win.
Absolutely. Santiago, this is a team, the Falcons, that they didn't score a touchdown in 2 weeks. So, I know it was against the Jaguars, but it was a must-win if they want to stay, in contention. Especially at 7, teams that make the playoffs, it keeps a lot of teams in it longer, especially 17 weeks. So I know the record of 5-6, isn't necessarily where the Falcons want to be, but they're right in the thick of it. The game they needed to, and it's just another tough day to be a Jaguar at Santiago. Cordell Patterson he's been quite the find though for the Falcons, and kind of kick returning, running back. This guy does it all.
And then for some reason, Urban Meyer was trending on Twitter once Riley got hired. But hey, we don't know about that. What goes behind the scenes? Anyways, 5 wins by the Dolphins, 5-7. And they beat the Panthers 33-10. Cam Newton had a good first game back, but has been kind of declining since. Jalen Waddle had a tons of 9 catches at season best, 137 yards and a touchdown. Tua is looking good, Ryan.
Santiago, it's almost, once that trade deadline went past and the Dolphins didn't trade for Deshaun Watson, I feel like that really has took the pressure off Tua, and I feel like he's reached a different level. I just think the team is just playing really well. It's too bad for them that it's such a rough start, but it's going to be an uphill battle to get in the playoffs. But it's one of those teams, down the stretch you do not want to play. Just because I feel like, everything's trending in the right direction for them. Jalen Waddle, showing why they, took him or him and Tua, the Alabama connection there. So,
yeah, and great job by Tua Tagovailoa turning the corner at the right time, I believe. Let's get a couple more wins to get a little bit above 500 or at least 500. Zach Wilson is back, and that helped the Jets beat the Texans 21-14. Rookie Zach Wilson was out for the past couple of weeks, but he threw for 145 yards and ran for a touchdown. Ryan, the Jets are back. No, I'm kidding. They just beat the Texans.
It was a good win for the Jets. Some might say the Texans really won that because now they're a little higher on the draft priority list. But, but it was good to see Zach Wilson back. He's the future of this team.
Not Mike White.
The Jets, yeah. Not Mike White. No, that was a 1-week wonder. Good for him. I'm a big Mike White guy. He was great in college.
He's from Pembroke Pines, Florida. Did you know that?
What?
He's from Pembroke Pines, Florida.
Oh yeah. He is that, like, very. If he went to a bigger school than Western Kentucky, I feel like he would have been in the media lot, because he's got a big personality. So we'll see if he latches on, the Jets or somewhere else as a backup. But right now, Zach Wilson is a quarterback of the Jets. They will find some balance running the ball with Coleman and Johnson, and but again, they were playing the Texans, so it's hard. You don't want to put too much into that. But
I know. NFC East.
A win is a win.
It was a win, Ryan, and the win for the Giants, 13-7 against the Eagles. This is massive. I had a feeling the Giants were going to do this.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that is more of a bad loss for the Eagles. Santiago, a team that was trending so high.
It's the NFC East, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, with the Cowboys struggling, but I thought the Eagles got them to 6-6. It might have been a chance for them to really, get right back in it. So, we'll talk about the game tonight. But if Washington can, secure that victory tonight against Seattle, I think it's not a team of any great teams, but I feel like either the Eagles or Washington will make a run for that last playoff spot.
Yeah, that game is looming tonight. Reason why Eagles lost, Jalen Hurts was intercepted 3 times and 4 turnovers overall.
Not a good.
That's not good.
No, not a good day for him. It wasn't because, I feel like there was a lot of, the Giants fired their Jason Garrett this week.
And Freddie Kitchens were calling the calls. Maybe that was the problem.
I don't think so, because it's not like the Giants were letting up the scoreboard at 13 points. So it was more like, the defense came to play. But I don't know. Bad loss for the Eagles. Good job for the Giants, and, in the much-needed victory.
Massive win. Another massive win. The Patriots 36-13 against the Titans. 6-game winning streak. Mac Jones finished with 310 yards and 2 touchdowns while completing 23 of his 32 passes. Very focused, Brady focused. But the Titans did not have Derrick Henry or Jones or like their main wide receivers. Running back Dontre Hiller led the Titans with 131 yards rushing. But this win was not saying much because the Titans were injured.
Yeah, it was. I mean, here's what I would say. You beat the number 1 team in the league. It's a big run for the Patriots. Mac Jones, I think, even though they beat the Falcons the other week, all you heard about, it just kind of proves that Mac Jones is they didn't feel like they didn't trust him in that game. Well, they trusted him today, and he went out there and made plays, throwing for over 300 yards. The Patriots defense is very good. Had trouble stopping the run. Their Titans did run for 270 yards, 200-yard running back. So they kind of did what they normally did, but in the end, I think the Patriots have just too much offense. They're trending high, Sandy. I don't think anybody, saw this coming. And just, if anything, this just proves, Bill Belichick's he's still a good coach. It's not just because of Brady, so. We can all stop talking about, after last year, tough year. But it'll be interesting to see, all comes down a lot to the next couple weeks, Bills and Patriots games, and the first one next Monday night. So, huge game in the AFC and especially the AFC East.
Huge game to determine if the Patriots are the real deal, and also if the Bills are also the real deal. Changing of guards, Bengals beat the Steelers 41-10. Joe Mixon, you've heard of him, rushed for 165 yards and 2 touchdowns. Joe Burrow scrambled for a score and passed for another one as the Bengals crushed the Steelers 41-10. Of course, Bengals are good. Steelers, Roethlisberger needs to go.
I don't. They have really nowhere to go to since yet. So we saw Mason Rudolph was, and
he's worse than Roethlisberger, isn't he?
He's not the long-term answer. So, in the sense of, yes, they really seriously need to look at the future of the quarterback position. But you remember last week, I mean, Roethlisberger wasn't bad against the Chargers. I mean, I think this is more about the Bengals just really turning the corner, Santiago, as a team and a franchise. I'm glad they stuck with the young coach Zach Taylor. He's got his quarterback. They ran the ball well. It was just a really good team effort for the Bengals, who are definitely trending up. And, it's going to really, I think, come down to the Bengals and Ravens in this AFC North.
A epic battle in Cincinnati. Another epic battle that came up this weekend. Bucks, Colts, 38-31 Bucks. Leonard Fournette, 4 touchdowns, Ryan. 4 touchdowns. They had Gronk, but no Antonio Brown. But, hey, Fournette does the job. Carried for 17 times for 100 yards. And Taylor last week had a tremendous game. Just had 83 yards, Ryan.
Yeah. I mean, this is the game the Colts had in the back, Santiago. They're going to be kicking themselves. But, with this win, they would have been 7-5 in really good shape. Not far behind the Titans and definitely in great shape to make the playoffs as a wild card at least. But now they have to fight the uphill battle again. 16 carries, 83 yards is, an average day in the NFL. It's not bad. So you really can't throw it on that. Carson Wentz, 27, 44, 306, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. So a good day, but Tom Brady and the Bucks, they found a way, This is a big win, a statement for the Buccaneers to go on the road to beat a good team. So, good job for the good job for the Bucks. Back to the drawing board for the Colts.
Just like Gronk says, 4 tutties for Fournette. Biggest game for Ryan's point of view. Broncos beating the Chargers 20-13. I saw this coming. The Broncos, after Von Miller, has been okay, not that bad. Patrick Surtain might be the man of the hour for the Broncos. Picked off Justin Herbert twice, and Ryan's smiling.
Santiago, I'll bring you back to April. Broncos fans are clamoring for a quarterback. Justin Fields looks like he's going to be a Bronco, but then the Broncos do select Patrick Surtain, cornerback from Alabama. Kind of a safer choice, but he's not been just a safe choice. He's been, I think, Pro Bowl level cornerback from day one he's gotten here. Really, he's been shut down. See, yesterday he had one great pick in the end zone. Another one, pick 6, we just have, kind of in the right place at the right time, but taking advantage of the opportunities and getting that interception and becoming a game changer there with the pick 6 to really put the nail in the coffin for the Broncos. But yeah, since they traded Von Miller, it's kind of it hasn't stopped them from getting to the quarterback. Santiago
has been decent.
People are stepping up. Yeah, I mean they have injuries. The linebacker level is tough. The front four is playing well. They're finding players to get to the quarterback. It's not just one; it's kind of by committee. So this is not necessarily bad. They got Bradley Chubb back, but I'm excited. The 2 moves that were kind of under the radar right about the trade deadline was the Broncos traded for Kenny Young, who started every game for the Rams for the first part of the season, which I think they deemed expendable, knowing that they were going to acquire a Von Miller type player. And then they traded a 7th-round pick to the Vikings for Stephen Weatherly, who is a pass rush specialist. Little moves like that, I think, earning the trust of Broncos fans and George Payton, the new GM. This week they locked up, their 2 big targets, Tim Patrick and Cortland Sutton. So basically, I think, you see Teddy Bridgewater isn't the long-term answer. This isn't a Super Bowl team. Would you like to get to the playoffs? Absolutely. Can they get to the playoffs? Absolutely. But I think, just getting in is good enough this year. But with that being said, I think with who they're locking up, the future is making it, whether they draft a quarterback, bring in a free agent, it's definitely going to be an attractive place for for any quarterback to come and play next year.
For sure, AFC West has been a little bit different this year, topsy-turvy, but the Broncos are not dead last for sure. We'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks for this AFC West. Quite interesting. 49ers, 34 to Vikings, 26. Deebo Samuel, Ryan Krista, ran for 2 touchdowns before leaving with an injury. And Elijah Mitchell rushed for 133 yards in the score. The Niners were too much for the Vikings.
Elijah Mitchell, a product of Billy Napier's losing in the Lafayette team there. So Santiago, a combo reference there.
No coincidence.
I had to throw that out there. It is a solid game for 49ers. 6-5. Don't blink at this team. I think we wrote them off a couple weeks ago.
We did. I did.
They're right back in it. With I think 3 or 4 straight wins. They got it going. This is when they're healthy, this team is dynamic on offense. Because if you can run the ball with Elijah Mitchell or Deebo Saint, you get the play action fake. And that's where they're gonna make big plays in the passing game to Brandon Napier, a George Kittle, or back to Deebo. So solid win. The Vikings. This team just every time you feel like they're there, they get in the way of themselves. They kind of run the ball yesterday. When the Vikings 49ers are similar in the sense of they will be successful. They find balance on offense because that means their offense is into. When the Vikings can't run the ball and you put it all on Kirk Cousins, he's going to make mistakes. He's definitely not as reliable. But, when he's able to play action fake and look for Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, that's a good team. In the sense of, overall, I think they're definitely underachieving for the talent they have. So we'll see what the next step is for the Vikings. Definitely, if they don't make the playoffs, I definitely see them making a change at the quarterback. Or not quarterback. Yeah, not quarterback, but also the coaching.
You can't say quarterback. Can't be Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. It can't be for much longer, Santiago.
All right. So let's go on to the next big NFC championship. I can't say that. NFC matchup. Packers beat the Rams 36-28. Rodgers threw for 2 touchdown passes, Ryan. He also ran for a score. And not bad for someone who hasn't practiced all week.
Absolutely, Santiago. Packers are good. I mean, there's no doubt about that, Santiago. Aaron Rodgers, every time you're ready to dump the guy, he just comes up and makes big plays. Definitely is hampered all week with a toe injury. But, he's a gamer. He's going out there. And
which he says is worse than turf toe.
Yeah. It's definitely a turf toe is one of those injuries. It's really up to a player's pain level. It's because the only way it gets better is by rest. You can't necessarily get it worse. So it's just kind of showing, he's a tough guy. He's a football player, and he wants to play. And he's, I don't know what the long-term future of the Green Bay is, but he definitely committed to this year, Santiago. And so is this team in winning a championship. The Rams, they got issues right now. Santiago, like 3 straight losses for them. They're on 7-1. But we'll see where they go from here. So they made some big moves. So I don't know.
I'll tell you what happened.
The next step is.
I'll tell you what happened. Well, Matthew Stafford, 28 points is 28 points, Ryan. A lot of teams can't score 28 points these days. Matthew Stafford went for 21 of 38 for 302 yards. The guy that they made moves, OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr., had 5 catches for 81 yards and a 50-yard touchdown in his second game as a Ram. You can't beat that.
Absolutely, Sandy. Like I said, the defense got to step up. They put a lot of money. Jalen Ramsey, there's a lot of money spent on defense. Giving her 400 yards is probably not what they were hoping for. So Rams, they got to go back to the drawing board. Like I said, 49ers are 6-5. And so they're stuck in the middle between the 49ers and the Cardinals right now. It's game on now for the Rams.
It's quite interesting. The Rams want to win now, and I understand they want to win now because they're not going to wait till 2027 or 2025 to win. And as what Ryan was saying on the defense, they just got Von Miller. Of course, only had three tackles yesterday, so not much going on with him. So we'll see what happens with this Rams team. Potential, I thought they were going to win the whole thing, but I think it's going to come down to the Cardinals, Bucks, and Packers. That's what I'm saying right now.
That's a good guess, Santiago. That'd be what I would say right now. But don't discredit the Rams. If they put it all together, this is still a tough team. They have talent up and down both sides of the ball.
Exactly.
I'm just looking at this app, and you see great players. Aaron Donald, Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, Taylor Rapp, Jalen Ramsey. Those are all defensive players, and they all should be game changers.
You would think.
So, yeah. And then you look at offense. You've got obviously Matthew Stafford. You have decent running backs in Sonny Michel, Darrell Henderson. Receivers Cooper Kupp, Becca, Van Jefferson. They got the players, Santiago. It's just they got to put it back together.
You got a talent. A lot of teams want at least one player from that team to make the difference. Let's go to the standings. AFC East, Patriots 7-4, Bills 7-4. No, sorry, Patriots are 8-4. Dolphins 5-7, Jets 3-8. Ryan, could the Pats win the AFC East again after a 2-year hiatus?
Absolutely, Santiago. I'm going back to your Dolphins are 4 in a row, Santiago.
I can't complain. I cannot complain.
Yeah, this one you're about ready to write them off. It'll be interesting. You're looking at the playoffs. They're not far off.
It's possible. They got to take it one game at a time. Off to Cincinnati. Okay. AFC North, Ravens are first place. AFC North with 8-3, also AFC as well. The Bengals 7-4, the Browns 6-6, Steelers 5-5-1. The North looks like it's going to be the Ravens. I don't think the Bengals for sure second, but I don't think they'll overcome the Ravens.
They still got one more game against each other. Remember, the Bengals destroyed the Ravens about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
I do recall.
So it's not on the list, for the Ravens. We didn't talk about that game, but they looked shaky on offense yesterday. Lamar Jackson not his best, but defense kind of, stole the show there, held off the Browns, who got litany of issues, Santiago. This is a team I told you I thought was a Super Bowl contender at the beginning of the year, and they just, they're falling fast. So we'll see what happens there. I'm looking at the play, you've got to think, you Bills and Patriots will both make the playoffs. Chiefs will probably make it. You got Ravens and Bengals and Titans. You really got one spot left, for Dolphins, Raiders, Chargers, Broncos, maybe Steelers, maybe so you got about 6 or 7 teams vying for one spot. So there's a lot to play for still in this home stretch here, and especially in the AFC.
Yeah, where things are definitely more open now. There's more spots in the playoffs. The South, the Titans are 8-4. The Colts 6-6. The Texans are 2-9. Jaguars are 2-9. Can this Colts team make it?
Absolutely, and if they wanted to, I would put them almost a chance to win that division.
No, it can't be that far. Of course, if things go bad with the Titans and they can't get A.J. Brown back and Derrick Henry, maybe.
I think Titans are in a world of trouble, Santiago. They got through the first couple of games without Derrick Henry, but Ryan Tannehill, threw for 93 yards. In the NFL, you're not going to win many games throwing for 93 yards. They got to find playmakers. And if you're you know, they got, they have a good defense. They have the weakness of their defense is their back end. Santiago, they give up big plays in the passing game, evidently yesterday. So I just feel like if the Colts can just, get back on track, get Taylor going again. Carson Wentz is why they brought him. He can make plays. They have playmakers. They're not a glamorous team by any stretch, Santiago. But I definitely do think they could get on a roll here the last 5 games and get in the playoffs, and not just get in the playoffs. They might go win the division if the Titans can't figure things out.
Ryan says it's in play. I think the AFC West is in play. Chiefs first place 7-4, Chargers 6-5, Broncos 6-5, Raiders are 6-5. Oh my gosh, Chiefs are just one game apart.
Sunday Night Football, they just changed this last week, so Broncos stepped up their game and made this game even more important. Broncos Chiefs in Arrowhead Stadium next Sunday night. A lot of eyes on that game, Santiago.
A lot of eyes, definitely looming big. Let's go to NFC East. Cowboys, struggling Cowboys, lost 2 in a row, 7-4. Eagles 5-7. Washington 4-6 game tonight, and the Giants 4-7. I believe Cowboys are 2 division games away from winning the division.
Like I said, I think the Cowboys, unless things go bad, but remember, Santiago, just check the news wire. What's happening? They're having a lot of COVID issues.
Head coach McCarthy got tested for positive COVID. Cannot be on the field this Thursday night when they play the Saints.
Yes. So you're out. Your coach. You're probably out. It still looks like I'm not CD Lamb. We're not sure if he's going to be back. Amari Cooper. Not sure about him. Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, the rumor was they're going to rest him.
Yeah, because he's dealing with a knee injury, but they got they got some reinforcements. Tony Pollard.
I mean, I'm all about the Cowboys, Santiago. I think they got enough overall talent. But right at the present moment, Santiago, you don't want to go on a big losing streak. There's a good chance, you're not going to full complement of players. They're going against a team who also can't get out of their own way, and that's the Saints. Santiago, who's lost 4 straight games. So we'll see what happens. So
we'll see if Mark Ingram comes back Thursday.
We'll see. They need him. They need playmakers, Santiago. They need Taysom Hill to get healthy. I think because he'd be a much better option at the quarterback right now than Trevor Siemian. Trevor, they look anemic Thursday night, Santiago. I know the Bills are good, but
that's a winnable game for the Saints.
Without 2 bad interceptions from Josh Allen, that game's an extreme blowout. It really was never in doubt, but we'll see.
We'll see. NFC. Let's go to the NFC North. Packers 9-3, Vikings 5-6. Who Ryan thinks Kirk Cousins might be on his way out. Bears 4-7. Lions are 0-10-1. Can the Lions get a win this season?
I mean, that was our game Thanksgiving, Santiago.
3 points. No, 2 points. Sorry, 16-14.
Yeah, I mean they had it. I mean up to the last kick of the game, but that's who the Lions are. I think they've lost like 3 or 4 games on the last kick of the game. Hold them off. Will be interesting. They're in for the first pick of the draft. Probably going quarterback. I'm assuming because I don't think Jared Goff is obviously the long-term answer there. I even think there's rumors they might even keep their coach Dan Campbell. He's got a big personality. Santiago.
Big. He used to coach for the Dolphins.
Yeah, he was an intern coach. He did very well. I think he's definitely built to be an intern coach, So, anyways, we'll see where that franchise goes.
Yeah, franchise. Yeah, very, very pivotal, of course. I don't think they have a good record on Thanksgiving, but anyways, NFC South: Bucks 8-3, Falcons 5-6, second place. Saints 5-6, Panthers are 5-7. That second place is up for grabs.
Yeah, I guess I think this is a huge game Thursday night for the Saints.
Winnable game.
Basically, winnable game because I think we talked about the Cowboys issues. But they don't win. They go 5-7, loses of 5 straight games. I don't think they can rebound off of that, Santiago. But you're looking at the playoffs. You've got you might have. I think you might almost you have all the top 3 teams in the NFC West probably making the playoffs, and then either it'll be, I don't know who that third wild card is going to be, Santiago. It's going to be not a very good team as right now.
Yeah, it could be the Dolphins. No, sorry, NFC. My bad. It could be anyone from the South.
That's when you talk about a team like the Falcons. 5-6 right now. They got potential, so.
They got, they definitely do. Let's go NFC West. Cardinals 9-2, Rams 7-4, Niners 6-5, Seahawks 3-7. I know tonight they have a game, but are the Seahawks kind of thinking, hey, this is not their season?
I think so. I think there's momentum. I think that talking about Pete Carroll, you were talking earlier. Great success. I don't know. This might be a time to go in another direction, but seems to be losing the locker room.
Are you looking for a job? You've been telling the Vikings coach to be fired, the Seahawks. I mean, who else?
I mean, to win now, Santiago.
So win now.
It's not what you've done for me for the whole career. What are you doing for me right now?
By the way, Cliff Kingsbury was rumored to go to Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean, that would be an interesting move.
But I would not make that move now. I mean, Cardinals are 9-2. They could win a Super Bowl.
Oh yeah. I mean, you got what you wanted. You built this team up, so I doubt you could go there. But we'll see.
Hey, you can't be Phoenix possible. Over Oklahoma.
But, I just see. If the Washington gets that win tonight, 5-6-2, they'd be winning for 3 straight. They lost a lot of tough teams early in the year. I wouldn't be surprised if they backed themselves right into the playoff discussion.
All right. Well, that leads to the predictions for tonight. Monday Night Football. The Seattle Seahawks is visiting Landover, Maryland to face the Washington football team, Heineke, versus Russell Wilson. Ryan, what's going to happen tonight? And give us a score if you can.
Absolutely. I think if you just listen to my statements, you know what I'm leaning towards. Washington Football Club. I think wins 30-14.
30-14 Washington. Are you a Heineke fan?
Not a long-term answer, but I think he's a gamer. He gives him a chance every week. Because he's a little limited, in skill set. But he's got a big heart, and he is, but he's a playmaker. So he's going to make a couple plays, keep you in the game, but he's also probably going to make a couple plays just because limited skill where, it's going to hurt your team. But I definitely think if they can, I'm glad he's getting a shot because he's kind of bounced around, he's had glimpses. If you remember the playoff game last year, he outdueled Tom Brady. It's very close, they got a bounce or two back. The Buccaneers are not the playoff, or not the Super Bowl champions. So he's getting a shot. I think this is a guy who, good chance, won't be a permanent starter in the NFL, but he'll be a permanent fixture. Kind of like a Ryan Fitzpatrick, player he replaced. Kind of guy you want to keep in your team. He's a good locker room guy, and then when his number is called, he's going to give you a chance to win that game.
Well, there you have it. Ryan thinks Washington's going to win tonight, Monday Night Football. Washington will keep things interesting in the NFC East, as always. Today's Cyber Monday poll question of the day. What type of electronic X are you going to buy for Cyber Monday? Choices are mobile device, home appliances, video games, or other.
Probably a home appliance. I'm looking for a snowblower.
Those are the perks of living in northern New York, right? Upstate New York.
Yeah. You get to save your $500 even a snowblower or a plowing contract right there. So congratulations.
Thank you. No idea what shoveling snow is. Mobile device is tied with home appliance and video games at 33%. Other at 0.
Interesting, Santiago. Where? Did you eat leftovers for lunch today?
No, I actually did all. I ate all my leftovers on Friday. I don't keep it after like a
Okay.
day or two.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think I had a turkey drumstick here for lunch. So
Oof. Does it taste
moving
better
on.
on the day or a couple days after?
I think I'm not usually a huge turkey fan, but props to the turkey we got. Uh, it was good, and I usually would just be done with turkey after Friday, but I'm trying to get as much out of it as possible. So typically, I think the next day is kind of just as good in a way, a sandwich or heat it up, but with all the fixings still. So hey, yeah. But now moving on to the Christmas season, so got the house decorated, ready to roll.
You have a Broncos ornament for your tree?
Yeah, I'm a, my wife got me when we first got married a sports tree, so it's got all Broncos and Gators ornaments all over.
How
Just
do you
sits
feel
in my
about Dan
man
Mullen
cave.
not being there no more?
It was rough. I think I thought beginning of the year, going into the year, he was thought it was a big success. It's just crazy in this world we live in how you go from hero to goat so quickly. Obviously, it's more than X's and O's. Like I said, there's recruiting, at the time, and just bizarre behavior. Even last year when things are good, he just did some things that are like, huh? With media and stuff like that. So, yeah, when you're a football coach at, a big university, you're not just a football coach, you're official, and you get this kind of like a certain way, a decorum you got to act. And I don't know if that's Dan Mullen. He's definitely going to land at C. Santiago. Just to see if he goes to the NFL where he doesn't have to worry about recruiting, or if he still just likes college football and lands there. So,
Hey, like you were saying, he could go to
I'm still going
Minnesota or
on that.
Seattle.
Yeah. I don't know if the NFL he'll end up being a head coach or just an offensive coordinator. The guy can coach offense, Santiago.
Maybe the Giants need him.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at who, I think if you have Urban Meyer, who was one of the reasons why he won those championships in Florida, A, because Urban Meyer could recruit, and B, because Dan Mullen could get the most out of those players. I think when he became a head coach, when he got to Mississippi State, he was able to grab those mediocre players and kind of coach them up. But when you're in Florida, you don't have that buffer. You don't have that year where you could struggle like this year, going 6-6. That's unacceptable. You've got to you don't just rebuild. You have to reload, and he never had that mindset. So hopefully, they found a guy who's like-minded in that and understands the value in recruiting. I'm still, Santiago, what we're talking about the coach. I still there's really nothing new coming out of LSU. Where they're going,
They
but
still need a coach.
all the tough makes me feel like, and I've heard from several sources, they don't know for sure. But all we know is this coach they have a mutual agreement with, probably somebody, and they're just waiting for their season to be over or just enough of a break. So if it's a coach that's coaching in the championship game this weekend, I think a deal is already in place somewhere with somebody. They're just waiting for the right time to announce it. Sear, Scott Woodward, the AD at LSU, he likes nothing else than doing home run glamorous hires. He even go to sport like women's basketball. He stole the one of the premier women's coaches in basketball from Baylor and brought him over to LSU, hired a big name baseball coach this year. And that's one of the reasons why Ed Ogeron isn't there, because Scott Woodward wants his own guy. He wants to say he brought in this coach. He's not bringing in Ogeron. Previous regime brought him in. We'll see what happens. So I'm really intrigued to see what falls. And I would not be surprised if it's Lane Kiffin. That would be who I got.
Yeah.
This
Big name. Definitely
and
one
I
of the
think,
big names looming. Also, the South Carolina coach I heard too as well.
Yeah, South Carolina goes. I feel like he would only leave to go. Shea Beamer, some of the former Hall of Fame Freddie Beamer. I think he's great charismatic. He's perfect for South Carolina because he can bring the energy. South Carolina is okay with going 6-6 for a couple of years and having that one good year. So we'll see what happens there. But I would assume that his only job he leaves South Carolina for would be going back to his father's school in Virginia Tech. So there's still jobs out there. Santiago, TCU is hiring Sonny Dykes, which is an easy choice for them. And then Miami offensive coordinator Santiago Lashley going to replace Sonny Dykes as coach of SMU. So we'll see. And then we still don't even know about Manny Diaz is coming back next year because they're still waiting there. They're hiring a new AD there in Miami and see if he wants to keep or move on from Manny Diaz.
Yeah, big question mark there. Of course, stay tuned on the Sportscast for the coaching developments. I try to crack these news as fast as I can on our Twitter, the Sportscast1. Anyways, Ryan, Krista, what is the best way to reach you online to find out your status with the Razor Sharks?
I'm Mad Dog Report on Twitter. So, yeah, it's a lot happening, Santiago, as we get into the holiday season. Big show probably. Next Monday, Santiago. Playoff coming out, so we may be able to preview that. So we'll see.
Yeah, a lot going on. Conference championships have a big weight. Of course, this weekend, Alabama, Georgia, and of course, Iowa versus Michigan. That's going to be a good one, and we'll see where the bricks fall. Looking forward to it. Exciting part of the year. A lot of college football this year has been different. It feels like a lot of different teams. They go in the top 4, they come out, they come back in. So we'll see how it goes. Usually, but this year I expect a new champion, not Alabama or Clemson. Obviously, Alabama could win it, but there's no Clemson.
Well, obviously not Clemson, and it doesn't look like Ohio State will be there. Alabama, they're one crazy, 97-yard drive away from not being there either, Santiago, win or lose.
Yeah. Do you like that new overtime? I had no problem with it. When you go to fourth overtime, you gotta try to score from score 2 points.
Yeah. So here's our closing remarks then. This before we move on. Auburn, Alabama scores in overtime first, goes up 17-10. Auburn scores makes it 17-16. Santiago, eventually after that, you got to go for 2 to win the game. You have to go out there and control. Go out there and do a 2-point conversion and win the game. That's my only thing. Auburn, I think they had that chance to do that. So.
Auburn had a chance, but they did not close the deal. They did not capitalize. And like Bill Parcells says, you are what your record says you are. Anyways, you can reach us at the Sportscast1 on Twitter, thesportscast.net. Catch tomorrow's night's show, the Sports Talk 101. They're probably going to recap Washington versus Seattle, so we'll see. Washington wins. It should be an interesting show. If they lose it won't be as interesting. But anyways, Ryan, this is action-packed. 1 an hour. I loved it. We talked from Turkey to Kirk Cousins, and then all the way to Michigan. So really excited, and hope to hear from you soon again.
Absolutely, Santiago. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving and enjoy your week.
Go shop.